Hey guys, I'm Emily, welcome back to my channel. Today I really wanted to share with you books that make me love reading and that remind me why I'm reading in the first place and just that are fun to read. I said read so many times. Overall, let's get started. I try to choose like an array of genres, but I think that most of them are young adult fantasy just because that is mostly what I read and that I end up loving. But the first book is actually a romance by Mariana Zapata. It's one of my favorites from her. It's called All Roads Lead Here. This follows Aurora, who is going back to her hometown in Colorado to try to restart and refresh. She had a very messy divorce with a popular singer, and so she's just trying to start again. And this is where she's from, and so she knows everywhere. So she rents out a garage apartment from this guy online, and she shows up and this guy is like, "Why are you in my garage apartment?" And she's like, "Because I'm renting this place for the next couple months." And he's like, "No, you're not, get out." And then his son is like, "Dad, I actually put it up for rent because I want the money." And then the dad is like, "Oh my gosh, Aurora, you need to get out. No." And then the son is like, "Please." And then Aurora's like, "Please, I have nowhere else to stay." And then the dad grumpily is like, "Okay, fine." The dad's name is Tobias. I don't know why I'm calling him the dad so many times. The guy, Tobias, he grudgingly agrees for her to stay there. And so she stays and she's like, "Thank you so much, just until I can find somewhere else to stay." For most of the book, you think that he really does not like her just because of his personality, just because he's so like gruff, but like he actually really likes her. And she's going on hikes and she's like trying to live her best life and just enjoy the small town vibe. It has just so many fun scenes, like they end up camping together and she like runs away from a bat and then he comes and gets the bat, and I just think that they are just so funny together. It's very hardcore sunshine or grumpy sunshine trope. I love the setting of Colorado because I love visiting Colorado, and this just feels very cozy, very light, and I love it. This book makes me feel like I'm in front of a fire with hot chocolate and fuzzy socks. Yes. Next book, young adult fantasy, Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. Okay, this is set in the Remnant Chronicles, which is the Kiss of Deception, Heart of Betrayal, and the Beauty of Darkness. Those three books, it's this world. But this is set after those three books, and this is following like a whole new set of characters, kind of, sort of. We have Kazi, who is a Rotan to the Queen, and Rotans are basically like loyal fighters and like not assassins, but they're loyal fighters to the Queen, like personally to the Queen. And so she is one of them, but she's also had a very, very rough upbringing. She had to fend for herself on the streets and just learn how to steal because that was the only way she could survive. And then we have Jace, who is the new patriarch of the Oh, that man scared me. He's the new patriarch of the Ballinger. He's the new patriarch of the Ballinger Empire, and his father just died, which is why he is now in this position. And while he is new to the position, he is not new to the responsibility. He has grown up knowing that he was going to take this role, and so he just understands how to take care of his people and the community, and he is like getting used to this weight now being on his shoulders. But Kazi runs into Jace when she's going to where he lives for a mission because she's trying to find a traitor of the kingdom. But when she gets there, she runs into him and she threatens him with a knife to his neck, not knowing that he's the new patriarch. And then when he leaves, she's like, "Oh my gosh, that was the guy. That was the guy, and I just threatened to kill him." And so she goes to talk to him and they get captured. They get captured like immediately together, and they get chained together. And so after that, it's just this whole back and forth of like they shouldn't like each other, but they're forced to be next to each other, and so they're learning about each other and they're sympathizing with each other, and they don't want to like each other, but they're kind of going to. Mary E. Pearson like just knows how to write a fun fantasy, and this is super romance heavy, which I didn't know. They got together, they started liking each other very fast. And I was like, interesting. This has a big family because Jace has like eight brothers and sisters. I loved that too because just the whole concept of the Ballinger Empire and you learning about where they came from and the stories that they tell and their backstory and just everything and who they are and like their culture is really interesting, and you grow to love this like little kingdom. That's not a little kingdom, but this new kingdom that you've come to know. Super cool. This book makes me feel like I should be on a horse in the woods with a sword. Like, that's crazy. Betrayals. Oh my gosh. This is like strangers to like not friends, I don't know, like acquaintances to lovers to maybe not lovers to lovers to enemies to lovers. Like, that is the journey that this book takes you on, and I loved it. Cool. This book is the last book in a series, so this is a bit more niche to those who have read this series but haven't finished it, because maybe they're wary, because it is 800 pages and it's a Winter by Marissa Meyer, which is a part of the Lunar Chronicles. This series is amazing. Please go read it if you haven't already, but if you're thinking that you want to finish it but you don't want to because it's 800 pages and it's very long, please. Winter, I just can't get over, even after finishing the series a while back, I can't get over how amazing Winter was as an ending to the Lunar Chronicles, because you've read every book in their point of view, right? Like, you have the set of characters and you grow to love them, and you know their personalities and you know their stories, and then this one combines all the storylines, all the characters into like a book, and the adventure is super crazy and the fights are very crazy. It gives Change by Taylor Swift, like Revolution. And this book is just very close to my heart. I finished it at 5 o'clock in the morning because I could not put it down, and that is the longest I've stayed up to finish a book on record. Amazing. Crazy cool. This book makes me feel like I'm with all of my new like friends and we're on a spaceship and we're all just laughing because we won the war. I don't know. It's a very fun family too, but I enjoyed it. Go read this book if you haven't already. Just start it. Yeah. This next book is written by the Queen, Victoria Aveyard, and it is Realmbreaker. This is another thick one, but stick with me. Because I was wary about this one too, but I actually devoured it. We have another like little found family vibe, a set of characters, a set of points of view. We have the chosen one, this girl who's the chosen one. We have portal magic. We have villain romance, written amazingly. We have betrayals. We have like backstabbing, adventure vibes. We also have like one of the most detailed and like biggest maps that I've ever seen. Very fun to read when you're watching them go through every other place and following them on their adventure. I had fun with this, I think, because it's a very plot heavy fantasy, but it's not overbearing in the details and the world. I think that it gives you just enough. Some parts might be hard to get through, but overall, when you finish it, you're like, that was good. That was scrumdiddlyumptious. I need to read a sequel. These last couple are gonna be like all young adult fantasy, but stick with me because they're gonna be good either way. And if you like young adult fantasy, then you're gonna be in for a ride. These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. Wait, did I say what this book made me feel like? This book makes me feel like I'm in a tent in the woods with somebody standing guard outside. Like, I don't know, like, you know that's like a scene in a fantasy book when they're like sleeping outside and somebody's like standing watch for watch. Like, that's what this whole book feels like. I don't know. Okay, yes. Anyways, back to These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. She is actually a romance author, which I should have guessed about halfway through. This is very romance heavy fae fantasy. Her sister has been taken by fae royalty, so she goes and poses as fae royalty, and we have Sebastian, who was her boy best friend, who who she's kind of in love with, kind of sorta, I think. And then we have Finn, who is the dark-haired, brooding, he's a bad guy and he's just not good and he's the Prince of Darkness, all this stuff. This book has like a crazy plot twist at the end, crazy betrayal, crazy like you didn't see that coming, or I didn't see that coming. Very fun romance and a likable main character. I think that there's a lot of great scenes in here, and it is just overall, I think, an underrated fae fantasy, because there's just so many out there, but this one is underrated because more people need to read it. And if you're in the mood for a specifically romance fantasy with enemies to lovers, sort of, kind of, read this book. The ending had me like, oh, because it's just crazy. The ending is worth it. I read this book at the coast, so while this may not fit, this book reminds me of like the sea and salty air and the sound of waves and the sound of seagulls. That's what this book makes me feel like, but that's just because I read it near the coast, not because this is like set at the beach. Next one is one of my favorite young adult fantasies, favorite trilogies, favorite authors, Bridget Kemmerer, A Curse of Dark and Lonely. I love recommending this book, and I read this book 2 times. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. We have Harper, who is set in our world, and she gets taken into the fantasy world to meet this like beast main guy character. His name is Ren, and he's just misunderstood, and like he has secrets and stuff. All this stuff. It has 2 points of view, because it has her point of view and his point of view, which is very fun. I think that Bridget just knows how to write a really light and easy fantasy story to read that's not super hard to understand, while also having a groundbreaking plot and heavy betrayal and like fight scenes. This world is pretty small in the beginning too, so it's not gonna like give you all this information to take in and you're gonna be kind of confused. It's pretty small in the beginning, and it has one of my favorite love interest characters, although he's not a love interest in this book, and his name is Gray, and he is in the other 2 books. This trilogy overall is just super fun and exciting and really cool. This book makes me feel like I'm in a castle, and I'm in the library. It's like I'm in a castle and I'm in the library, and there was the sound of crackling fire, and there's a sense that something dangerous is coming. Yes. I'll read this book. I don't know. It's cool. Okay. This is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This book is pretty well known. This trilogy is well known, but this, like, the 2 first books, the whole trilogy overall was just outstanding, because in this one we have Scarlett, who is going to Caraval, which is like a giant interactive game to save her sister who's been taken, and she goes with Julian, who is the love interest, and Julian is just like straight up boyfriend material, like for real boyfriend material. She shows up, and this game is like just so juicy and twisty, and you don't know what's real, you don't know what to believe, you don't even know who is who. It gives like late at night carnival, bright lights. You're kind of lost. You're kind of lost the whole time, but you're happy and you're enjoying being lost. That's what this book feels like. The romance is also amazing, and the last book, the second book, I think is my favorite. They're all very good for different reasons. Like, I think this one is good because it introduces you to the world of Caraval and the game, and the second one is good for the romance, and the third one is good for the adventure. So overall, amazing. Highly recommend. We're reaching the end of the video because this is the last book. This is Daughter of the Pirate King by Miss Levin Seller, and this is like the definition of a fun book. We have Alosa, who is the daughter of the Pirate King, if you didn't know already, and she gets sent on a mission to go find this ancient key, and she allows herself to be captured by her enemies so that she can go search their ship, okay? Then we have Raiden, who is the captor of Alosa, and she hates his guts. She hates his guts, but he's also very attractive, and I think that he kind of falls a little bit harder for her at first, which is an amazing trope to have. I think that the adventure they go on is so cool, and it is a little bit of enemies to lovers, just like a little sprinkle of it. Like, should they, shouldn't they? Oh my gosh. It's pretty short. It's very fast-paced. I love the setting of like pirates and sirens and just this whole vibe. I think if you're looking for a quick and fun read, pick this up. The ending got a little bit convoluted. I don't know. I think that it didn't really match the first 2/3. Nope. Yeah, the first 2/3 of this book, because those were just really fast-paced, and I don't know where the plot kind of went. But I still recommend it. I think that it was really good. The sequel was really good too. This book makes me feel like I'm on the ship from Little Mermaid, and I'm sitting on the deck, and there's just a fire around us, and the guy that I'm supposed to hate is sitting next to me, and we have to talk about our trauma, because we have to strategize together. I don't know, dude. It was just fun. Those are all 8 of the books that I wanted to share with you. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found some that you're gonna be interested in. Let me know if you've already read them. Let me know if you have any that you think are fun to read just for funsies. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm gonna go now. Bye!